Yo, today I wanted to watch a Jamari video. Snow White is Disney's worst nightmare. I did not watch Snow White, but I've heard that it was a pretty big flop, and due in part to one of the actresses. So yeah, let's get into this and see what's going on.
So for around the last year, I've been keeping up with the news regarding the latest
That's the girl. That girl right there. She's the one that apparently that I've heard like all the news from. I've seen her in interviews.
been up with the news regarding the latest live-action Disney film, Snow White. And from the start, it really did seem like this movie was destined to be a commercial failure, as they tried to replace the dwarves with the Justice Squad of Diversity.
Photos just came
Like, why would you do that? At all. At all. Why would you do that? For what reason?
out showing that the Snow White movie replaced the seven dwarves with seven average people instead. Do you think Disney made the right choice doing this?
It's a bad thing. I'm not agreeing with it. You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs.
Now,
You know what's actually crazy to me too? You're trying to be diverse from taking away from you're taking away from a minority to give it to other minorities so you can be more diverse.
obviously, people absolutely hated that idea. A lot of people find these dwarves to be iconic. And then the two main talent in the film, Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot, went on a ton of interviews basically saying this rendition of the film was going to be altered quite a bit, with the main theme now being
If you're making a movie and you're based on like an old movie and you need that nostalgia, you don't talk nonsense about the old movie.
feminism.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Also, the fact that she's not going to be.
That's actually the dumbest thing I've ever heard, bro. Like, what? In Snow White, the most powerful people in Snow White were the women. I don't know, like, yeah, the times, but in the actual story, that witch was literally the most powerful person in the entire realm. And the only person that could have stopped the most powerful person in the entire realm was the other woman. I didn't like look at Snow White and think, oh,
Saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms.
Keep in mind, this film has technically been in the making since 2016, and with this being based on the first animated film ever, a
it's been in the making and it became a flop.
staple in the Disney IP, fans had very high expectations. Now by 2021, it began to really materialize. The film had now been casted, written, and they knew who the director would be. And then obviously it ran into these problems with public perception by the time the trailer would actually come out.
Weird.
So Disney had to go back to the drawing board, which delayed the release of this film by an entire
I'm not gonna lie, Snow White does not do her beauty justice.
year. And in the end, the total budget for this movie was $209 million. And strangely enough, now that this thing is finally going to see the light of day, it seems like Disney is doing everything in their
Oh my god, I heard it made like 300 something million. That is a huge loss.
power to just get it over with. In fact, I would say they're downright sick of the headache this movie has become. And today we're going to talk about why Disney is basically saying, here, damn, with the release of this film. You've been having a lot of articles like this come out. Disney scales back Snow White Hollywood premiere amid Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot controversies. And when they say scaling back, this is what they mean. Disney is hosting
So it's still Hollywood.
a Hollywood premiere of Snow White on March 15th, which is in 2 days, but the studio won't be rolling out a robust red carpet like it usually does. The afternoon festivities will include a pre-party and screening at the El Capitan Theater, with star Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot. However, the red carpet will not include the dozens of media outlets usually invited by Disney to interview the cast and creatives at its premieres.
Why? That's like intentionally tanking the movie.
Instead, coverage will be limited to photographers and a house crew. So it essentially seems like Disney wants as much control of this red carpet premiere as they can get. They don't want these people being asked any more spontaneously tough questions. They don't want this entire thing to become more political than it already has. And to a lot of people in the industry, this seems to be a pretty clear sign that Disney does not have a lot of faith in this movie. And the other reason people started to share that opinion was because of the way they decided to pre-sale the tickets for this movie.
Yeah, there is no way Disney is releasing Snow White, one of the most iconic Disney movies, and it's not getting this much press.
Get tickets now for the magical, musical, movie event.
It's time.
I don't know what it is about this specific frame right here, but I feel like they just did her beyond dirty with this horrible CGI. I mean, they got her ass out here looking like a bobblehead. And overall, whoever styled...
Like, honestly, what they do, they kind of hold them, bro. Because, bro, Lion King... I saw like so many commercials of Lion King, and I barely even watch TV. Snow White, I don't think I saw one single commercial of Snow White, like, even accidentally.
Her hair for this movie just did her beyond dirty. I mean, they got her out here looking more like Lord Farquaad than Snow White.
This is my kingdom.
You dare to disobey me?
The queen stole it from all of us. Come on.
In theaters March 21st, Disney's Snow White.
Can you point me in the right direction?
And the other...
This feels like it feels like they tried to be just like Shrek and just were completely off the mark. Everything just looks like it's choreographed. Like, it looks like I'm watching it being written.
The thing I think is that they made these dwarfs look like absolute shit. I mean, like, who the fuck is that? Oh, big face looking ass, oh, scary face looking ass. This shit's gonna haunt me in my fucking nightmares. I mean, I'm serious, guys. Don't you just want to smack him in his big old water head? The other funny thing was
like,
is that...
Bro, the dwarves are supposed to be, like, cute and, like, the complete opposite of what they look like now.
You just had Disney hiding hundreds upon hundreds of replies to this, where people, you know, obviously had negative feelings about this trailer. But yeah, back to the ticket release. They would announce these back on March 10th, which is only 11 days before the actual premiere of this movie, like the public premiere. And that is very...
And, bro, the timing too, March Madness, bro, this is the worst timing.
Abnormal for a movie of this caliber that Disney spent so much money on. When you compare this release to something like The Little Mermaid, which was one of the last live-action movies that Disney did, you can see the big difference is that they released these pre-sale tickets about 1 month before the release date, which has now been like the current standard for Disney's bigger films. In fact, the last time a studio would roll something out in a similar fashion was actually when Universal came out with The Flash, and obviously they ended up having this absolute creep cast as the main character. Yeah. And I mean, look at the things this guy was doing, okay? He was accused of committing assault, burglary, disorderly conduct, harassment, and of minors. Obviously, back then, that film had a ton of negative PR. Universal probably felt like they were on a sinking ship. And so for that situation to be compared with this Disney situation, and for them to kind of decide to go that same route, kind of tells people that Disney is more or less...
Where is Disney going? Because, well, obviously they still have a lot of money. But it's like, is Disney still a thing? Like, if they made a live action Aladdin, like, I don't think I would even want to go watch that. It's just like, I don't know, bro.
It's just going through the motions here. Just for more reference, this is what The Little Mermaid premiere was looking like.
To celebrate the film's world premiere.
Basically what I'm trying to show here is that Disney is more accustomed to making an entire event about this. They love to invite all the biggest media outlets to come out and basically give them some good publicity in anticipation for a movie's release, where they will do things like invite celebrities to come on, they'll do an entire theme for the night. Basically, it seems like they'll actually...
They promoted The Little Mermaid. They promoted that, bro. I knew everything about that movie by that, and I still have not even watched it.
They give a shit. An inside source had this to say: they've been going through the motions on Snow White, all but saying, we need to get this thing over with. An advanced sales cycle of less than 2 weeks just screams, we have zero faith in this thing. And it couldn't come at a worse point when the industry is just trying to limp along to May. And obviously, guys, people do not go to the movies at the same clip like they did 10 or 20 years ago. But when I looked up some local tickets for this movie at some very popular locations in Austin, Texas, almost every theater I saw had not made one single sale. And I'm not talking about just for the premiere, which will be on like a Thursday, so you could say, oh, it's just a little...
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Little bit of a weird day for someone to go take their kid to see a movie like this. Because I checked that Friday night.
One seat was open. Was selected. Just one. Hold on. Is that the seat he selected? Oh. Oh my lord.
I checked the entire weekend, and literally every local theater I had checked had sold less than 2 tickets. Even before the LA premiere news, however, there was a sense that Disney was being a bit bashful about Snow White. One theater owner and a rival studio...
Okay. I know they said like some comments about the movie, but like, are these two actresses I've never been blackballed? Because that's pretty messed up, bro. They put in all that work for like basically nothing.
A source says that Disney's massive marketing machine has been uncharacteristically quiet until recently, noting advanced ticket sales didn't commence until Monday, less than 2 weeks before the film's release. Many of the studio's live-action family tentpoles in recent years have typically become available to book at least a month before the film opens. Disney would also release this clip from the film.
You were saying?
It's just... Your Majesty, people are struggling, and it may not be much, but when I was young, my parents and we'd pick apples. We'd take them and make pies, then go out into the village.
Pies are luxuries. They don't need luxuries. It confuses them.
Something small, something sweet even can make you believe that there's more to being a...
I don't know why, because I want to say that they're probably good actresses, but this looks like I'm watching an improv. It doesn't look like they're really into the characters like that.
alive than mere subsistence.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
I mean, honestly, based on this one scene, Gal Gadot does not seem like a very good actress at all. I mean, she seems like her face only has one expression. Like that boy Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. It's just the same thing over and over again. That shit don't move.
Fearless, fair, brave, true. How quaint.
People were also noting that they changed...
How quaint.
Okay.
People were also noting that they changed the fundamental reason why she's called Snow White. Disney's Snow White says she got her name because she survived a bitter snowstorm.
My father told me long ago I braved a bitter storm of snow.
And as much as I don't really like accounts like this, I find them to be a little bit politically divisive. And I feel like they just post rage bait that makes grown men like...
Wait, what? That's kind of wild, bro. To say that, oh, this is how she got her name, bro. Like, no, she just called Snow White.
This mad. This isn't Snow White. Fuck Disney. Like, if this type of topic makes you feel that passionate as a grown man, I don't really know what to tell you. But I say all that to say that that account did make a good point because... in the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Snow White was named Snow White because her mother wished for a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. And it's one of those things to me where you're changing like the core fundamentals of a classic film, and it's all in an effort to be like overtly PC. Like yes, there's some things about old media and cartoons that would definitely require like a bit of a political correction for modern times, like sometimes you'll see those disclaimers. But this is one of those things where it's like, there's nothing really wrong with someone having some white-ass skin, and that being the reason that their name is Snow White. But because of that, I don't want to hear shit when I get cast as Peter Pan. When they cast me as Li Shang, I don't...
Bro, if they make Li Shang Korean, bro, oh, we got a fucking problem. We will have a problem, bro. Because now, right now, the new fad is like K-pop. If they make Li Shang Korean, bro.
I don't want people saying I'm not Asian enough. As a matter of fact, I want to be casted as this white boy. Just a little side note, this has to be one of the most underrated Disney movies of all time. In all seriousness though, one of the reasons this film has become such a PR nightmare for Disney is the fact that the two leading actresses have some really serious beef. Here they were presenting an award at the...
Wait, they got beef with each other? Oh, wait.
Oscars.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible. Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
And the thing is, these two women went from being like, yeah, feminism, we're both strong women, to now it's like that clip of Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. And it really all stems from the fact that she is pro-Palestine, and this woman is Jewish, so obviously she's pro-Israel, and they have both been quite public about their opinions.
I am proud to be an Israeli, and I am proud to be Jewish. But this is a time when many of us in the Jewish community have had to find our voice and confront the hatred against us, even if it's extremely uncomfortable.
And so basically they're covering all of these political bases, and I think it's just become a massive headache for Disney. I mean, you got tweets like this getting hundreds of thousands of likes.
These two women somehow, some way, destroyed an entire movie because they couldn't just stick to their job. Like, you're an actress at the end of the day. Just do your job, right? If you want to go into politics, go to politics. But it's like, bro, you're making a movie and then in the middle of that, you're doing all this stuff. Bro.
Your reminder to boycott Snow White. And obviously with the actresses being on either side of the spectrum when it comes to this issue, you end up getting hate from all these different...
That's the thing too, like, hold on, like, you know she's Jewish, and you're gonna freely and outright just say, oh yeah, I support... I don't like. What did you honestly think? What your relationship was gonna be like after that?
Different directions. It's like you're pissing absolutely everybody off. Here, Rachel Ziegler shares a pro-Palestine message. Someone says, "Thank you for speaking. Better late than never." And she says, "I have been public with pro-Palestine stance since 2021. Have a nice day." And when Trump was elected back in November, Rachel would take to Instagram to share her feelings. Basically saying she was shocked, that she was heartbroken, that this country had apparently become a safe haven for hatred.
You know, and the thing is, there's really nothing wrong with what she's doing, but it's like, you are an actress, you're not a content creator. So, you don't work for yourself, you work for other people. So you can't just be going out here doing all this when you need those people that don't like this to pay you.
And I guess this was the part that really made headlines, made Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. I mean, for people who really let politics run their life, when their candidate loses, you know, for me, I guess it would be like my team losing the Super Bowl, losing the World Series. Now, eventually, she would actually apologize for this. I'm guessing that Disney made a call, maybe some black SUVs showed up at her crib.
Like, hey, yeah, please don't threaten the U.S. president.
And so here she says, "Hi everyone, I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse." And like I said, I really do think that Disney kind of made the call here because how often do you really see someone who's passionate?
Who has ever used discourse, bro? This is not regular combo. They force her to do this.
About politics, like go back on their beliefs. Almost never. And despite all of this, Rachel must be one of the most media-trained people on earth because she claims that the reason for the backlash to the film is due to passion for the original film. I interpret people's sentiments towards this film as passion. What an honor to be part of something that people feel so passionately about. We're not always going to agree with everyone who surrounds us, and all we can do is our best. And despite all of this being an absolute PR nightmare for Disney, the film is actually still projected to do pretty well. They're thinking it's going to gross around $53 million in the opening weekend. And I guess you never really know what's going to happen. I mean, you have some YouTube channels saying that this is going to destroy Disney altogether, which is just a beyond stupid stance to have. I mean, have y'all ever been to Disney World? There's people leaking out that motherfucker, spending all types of money on their little ears and the shitty food. Yeah, guys, I don't know what it is about this specific frame, but it just...
Is this actually true? Bro, look at her teeth. And like, shoot. Bro, what the? And then look at her eyes, bro. It looks like there's contacts halfway out of her eye. This one a little bit too. Oh my lord, bro! They didn't even try in this movie because no, you cannot tell me they elongated her head too. Cause ain't no way, bro. But it's like I don't understand why she needed to be. Why does she need to be? Why does this?
Just makes me feel some horrible thoughts. And I think they did her even dirtier, literally, with those teeth. I mean, they got her out here looking like Lord Farquaad mixed with George Washington.
Bro, she looks like
in all reality here, though, I do think that Disney kind of fell for the sunk cost fallacy. I think it was one of those things where it was like they're damned if they...
I have never heard of this in my life. The sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is a tendency for people to continue something because they've already invested their time, energy, or money, even when abandoning it. It would be more beneficial.
They do, and they're damned if they don't. And like I said, this thing just became such a big headache for them that they're just like, here, damn, take the motherfucker. We got Lilo and Stitch on the way now, and people are actually liking the way, you know, that one's looking early on. But I want to know what you guys think about this topic down below. For those of you that do have kids, do you plan to take them to see this? For those of you that are older but are just Disney fans, are you hyped up for this? Either way, I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video, dropping a like and subscribing. But as you guys know, it's been your boy the Tan Superman, and some other botched movie releases out here need to be covered, so I'm out. Peace!
Yeah, I'm out.